Hello. So week 8, and actually had a good week, especially compared to last week. As promised, I had an extremely quiet weekend, didn't really do anything at all. And Saturday especially managed to get a good 9-10 hours of coding practice in. So yeah, got some good progress to report this week. Starting off with the Kevin Powell course, in all honesty, I'm starting to struggle a bit with this. The course content is really good, but most of the modules are just YouTube videos. They're quite long. So right now, and why I haven't made as much progress as I'd like, I'm like 10 minutes into a half-hour grid video. And I'm not criticizing the information that's there. It's just personally for me, like the way that it's structured, it's you get a lot of information covering a lot of different stuff, and then you get the challenge, and then you have to apply it. And my brain's just not good at trying to digest all that information in like 3 sort of 10-15 minute videos, and then when you get to the challenge, try and apply that, and obviously go back. But it's quite demotivating making your way all the way, like just listening to those videos knowing that you're gonna have to come back and listen to it again. I've still made progress. I think I've done an extra 3 days and I've completed a couple more challenges, but I'm not making it as much of a priority. Because yeah, I'm just I'd rather just focus on the JavaScript side of things, where I feel like I'm applying the knowledge that I'm learning straight away instead of like watching a half-hour YouTube video. With that being said, I still made fairly decent progress. Like I said, I completed 2 challenges. We got onto the module talking about Flexbox. Flexbox is something I've done a fair bit of in the past, so managed to apply the learnings on the Flexbox to the challenge, which went quite well, and also started working with making images responsive and the ins and outs of that. So as said, I will continue to make my way through the course. It's just not as much of a priority at the minute. Moving on to JavaScript, the main thing that I looked at this week was Booleans and if statements. So what I've learned is that from a conceptual perspective, Booleans are basically true-false statements, and if statements are basically like decision trees. So the true-false can be based on a certain criteria. So if it doesn't fit that criteria, then it should fit this criteria. If it doesn't fit that criteria, then it should fit another criteria. And naturally, this is where the use of comparison operators has started to come in as well. For me, I'm finding this really engaging and really interesting, but I'm now starting to appreciate, even though I'm at the very beginning stage, I'm now starting to appreciate what this is like a very small taste of what actual programming is, because with HTML and CSS, it's largely typing out what you want and it projects onto the server. Whereas now, like, I'm sort of understanding how there's more logic applied in how you structure the code to get a desired outcome. The first task I did for this was create a calculator. One big thing I really tried to make an effort to do throughout this exercise is not just view the instructional video on one screen and then copy it directly onto VS Code. I did try and sort of, I don't know, watch like a 5-minute segment of the video, try and memorize like the logic and the concept, and then try and replicate that by myself. I found this as really beneficial in terms of like better understanding the concept, and most of the time I did it reasonably well. Most of the time I got it wrong, but that was mainly just due to tiny little errors within the syntax, which I'm not expecting myself to learn every part of the syntax at this minute. But as long as I kind of have a general understanding of what I'm trying to do and then finesse that with the little syntax fixes, is kind of my general approach at the minute, which I think is working quite well. But after the calculator exercise, I then moved on to creating a rock, paper, scissors game. And again, this is really like, this took a lot of brain power on Saturday. The way in which I did this, which was instructed through the video, was you had to create a random number generator, which generated a number between 0 and 1. Then you created a variable for 1/3, which was rock, and then 1/3 to 2/3, which was paper, etc., etc. Then you create different outcomes based on the button that you as the non-computer clicked, so rock, paper, scissors buttons, obviously, and then adding that into the bottom with the console log, or actually with the alert pop up saying you choose paper, computer chooses rock, you win. So doing that was pretty much my whole Saturday. There was a lot of coffee, a lot of going back and forth, a lot of trying to memorize, like I said, the sort of structure and the flow and the logic of the code. And yeah, it was a real sort of eye-opener, like, okay, this whole, I don't know, JavaScript way of programming is a completely different kettle of fish to the HTML and CSS that I've been doing previously, but really, really enjoyable. Yesterday being Sunday, I progressed on to truthy and falsy values. This was a concept that I, with the help of Claude, managed to get my head around a little bit. And now I'm working my way through some ternary, guard, and default operators as well. So this week coming up, I have a busy weekend where my wife and I are away with friends. So sadly, I'm probably not going to have too much to report on, but I'm going to try and throughout the week make my way through another module. As always, thanks for listening, and I'll see you on the next one.